This is York's only local show on York's only local station. This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Listen to your show every day. It's really good.
I have you guys on every morning to wake up to.
Gary Sutton, mornings 6 to 9 on Sports Radio 98.9 FM and 1350 WOYK.
All the things you're talking about are all the things we're talking about. It's Main Street America every day.
And you're getting your money's worth.
You're a brilliant mind, tremendous experience. You're great for the community.
The Gary Sutton Show on York's first station, WOYK.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
Yeah, Gary's off for the next 4 business days, and in his stead today is actually, I'm going to say, the first guest host that actually has some experience guest hosting for Gary, and that is Joel Sears. Joel, welcome. Good morning.
Well, thank you, Mark, and good morning to you.
So you used to, back when we were at the other station, you used to do that. When was the last time you think you subbed for Gary?
Well, if you go back, I guess 15 years or so when he had the knee replacement.
Wow.
There were several of us that rotated in and out of the studio for a couple weeks.
Wow, so
it was
15 years.
Yeah, it's been a long while. Or that's a guess. I'm not really sure what the exact date was, but
it's
close enough.
Yeah, close enough. So how are you feeling about your stint today?
Somewhat apprehensive. I mean, that's typical. I mean, it's 15 years. If you did anything 15 years ago, you're not going to be able to just jump in and do it again, even riding the proverbial bike.
Right.
Still a little unsteady.
But here's the good news. I am your co-pilot, and we are going to traverse this together. We are going to have, here's just some of what's going to happen today. We have Julie Wheeler, the President Commissioner of York County, at 8:35. We have the DA of York County at 7:35. We are going to note some of the just special things that have happened on this date, at least in terms of movies, and we'll relive a couple of memorable trailers, if you will. We also have birthdays this hour, and coming up, we will take a look at, or take a listen to, more appropriately, the Revolution highlights from last night. First, though, let's make sure we do this.
The Gary Sutton Show, the Main Street of York, is brought to you by our presenting sponsors, kindnessworldwide.org. What are you going to do to bring more kindness into your sphere of influence today? Check them out at kindnessworldwide.org. And Anstein and Sparler, attorneys at law, 117 East Market Street in York. You can give them a call today at 717-846-8811. Their primary area of focus since 1937 has been estate planning, the state administration, family law, and municipal law and military law. And they're ready to help you. They're open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5. Anstein and Sparler, attorneys at law, and Kindness Worldwide, proud sponsors of the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
So here we are. It is Wednesday. It is the 24th of June. Anything special with this date for you?
Not really. Let's start thinking about dates and time. Well, here's one. It's only 2 days away and I won't be here. June 26th was the birthday of one of my first really deep loves in life.
Really?
I hate to say that, but yeah, that lasted about a year and a half. Mm-hmm. I went off to a summer session while I was in high school, and when I came back, she was someone else's girlfriend.
No kidding.
So that was that.
And you still remember June 26th?
Well, yeah, those dates get seared in your memory.
I guess so. I would try to remember my first girl. I don't. Maybe better left undone. Let's.
So you asked.
Well, and I did, and see, that's the nature of this program. When Gary and I, when he says we don't talk before the show, other than to say hello and maybe some personal stuff, we don't talk about the contents of the show. So what happens just happens, and in this particular case, we're going to continue that. So hopefully,
combustion.
Yes, exactly. Let's see what happens. Today, by the way, a number of holidays. We do this every day, and today is just, I don't know. It's Swim a Lap Day.
What?
Swim a Lap Day.
Swim a Lap Day.
It's going to be a
just
little bit.
One.
It's going to be a little cool if you do it this morning, but it's going to be probably the best day of the week. Sunshine. It is. I don't detect any humidity in the air. After those storms went through the last couple of days, it really feels good out there today. But Swim-A-Lap Day, it is International Ferry Day.
Now, wait a second.
Yes.
Ferry as in Tinkerbell or ferry as in ferry boat?
I think that it is Tinkerbell.
Oh, boy.
Matter of fact, let me just double check. Yes, it is magic folklore, imagination surrounding fairies. So there's a day for everything, trust me. And it is celebration of the senses. So all your senses.
Wow.
So enjoy smell, touch, sight,
Oh, I
feel.
thought you said celebration of the census.
Oh, now
I'm crossing my eyes thinking, now why in the world would we celebrate the census?
only our policy guy would do that. Some food holidays today. Well, we're not. That's why. It's National Parchment Cooking Day. Do you use parchment
Oh,
paper?
for the love of Pete. I've seen it used in cooking, but maybe on a cooking show or two. And I think Jenny might have some.
Yes.
I can't remember the last time
I
she
used some
it.
last night. Yeah, I cooked, let's see, coconut shrimp and Parmesan crusted Gorton's fish in the air fryer. And I know it has a little basket in there that you can put stuff in, but this way you help keep it a little bit cleaner if you put a little bit of parchment paper down. And I think it even facilitates in the cooking, if I'm not mistaken. So
There has to be a reason for it.
parchment paper to protect. Matter of fact, if you cook bacon, I think cooking bacon on parchment paper also gets a much better result, and it's a lot easier to clean. That's key. I don't know.
Put the parchment paper in the frying pan, or is this some
Not in the
other-
frying pan, but
Okay.
you put it in the air fryer. Do you have an air fryer?
I do not.
See, that's why.
We must be the only people on earth
could
without
be.
an air fryer.
They
My daughter's gone through 3, and we have had none.
Yes, it is very handy. It really does a good job. I mean, it can cook things. I mean, those things were done that I mentioned. Those things were done in about 12 minutes. And I would say if you had to heat up the oven, it might take 10 minutes to heat up the oven.
Sure.
Let alone start to cook. So it saves a little bit of time, too. It's also National Pralines Day,
Oh, great.
which I can't figure out if it's actually, I'm too lazy to look it up, whether it's actually a pecan that's been coated with like brown sugar or something, or whether it's that has no nuts in it. A praline is just a sugar concoction, but I'm going to leave that for others. The other thing that I really like, we started doing this a little while ago, and I'm always fascinated by things that happened on particular days, because when I'm driving in, I think, there were other people in history that they were getting ready for the day just like I am. And, what did they accomplish? Great things, different, terrible things, fun things. And I love looking back at that because it's just another June day, right? June 24th. On this date in 1374, I don't know if you've ever heard of the outbreak of St. John's dance.
Yes.
You have heard of it?
I've heard of it.
Yes.
I hope I haven't had it.
Me too. Because apparently it caused people in the year 1374 in the streets of Aachen, Germany, to experience hallucinations and begin to jump and twitch uncontrollably until they collapsed from exhaustion. And it was such a major event that it was written down and passed along. I'm wondering if, like some of the other things that have similarly happened, not necessarily a dance, but sometimes the grain they ate, wasn't always
There was some
fermented.
interesting stuff.
Yes, exactly. So I'm wondering if that might have come into play there. But St. John's dance on this date. On 1509, June 24th, 1509, Henry VIII crowned King of England. Happened at Westminster Abbey, naturally. On this date in 1812, Napoleon Bonaparte. You think these guys, they get these grand ideas and they just keep pushing and pushing. Of course, that's what makes them, large figures. But at some point, they run into their Waterloo. And in this particular case, it was invading Russia. And later, Hitler would make the same mistake as well. On this date, 1853, if I asked you, Joel Sears, guest host on the Gary Sutton Show this morning, what is Franklin Pierce perhaps most notable for?
Well, he was a president.
Right.
I'll give you that.
Right.
But I know you're fishing for something, so
Yes.
I don't know.
You don't know anything about Franklin Pierce. I'm going to give you something. He signed the Gadsden Purchase, and he bought almost 30,000 square miles from Mexico for $10 million, and that area is now southern Arizona and southern New Mexico.
And that was the Gadsden Purchase.
Gadsden Purchase.
Does it give us any information about who Gadsden is or was?
It does
aside
not.
from the name of a town in Alabama.
It does not. So I don't know.
Well,
maybe that's where it was signed. Could be.
All right. Well,
on this date,
pretty good deal.
Yes, 1863. Those of us in this area. I talked to some people over the weekend that had come here from other states to visit Gettysburg. It was on this date in 1863 that Lee's army crossed the Potomac, because you know where they were headed? Gettysburg. That's where they were going to invade Pennsylvania. It was on this date in 1889. It had to start somewhere, right? Butch Cassidy commits his first bank robbery. It was at the San Miguel Valley Bank in Telluride. Now, everybody wants to know, was, Sundance there? And there was a guy named Warner and two other guys, but I can't say for sure whether Sundance was there. But anyway, this group of people led by Butch Cassidy stole about $21,000, which is equivalent to how much today? What do you think, Joel?
Oh, let's go with $1.5 million.
You know, it's exactly half of that.
Let's go with 750,000.
That's it.
There you go.
On this date in 1901, the first exhibition of Pablo Picasso opened up in Paris. You know how old he was? 19 years old.
Now, at that time, he was doing what might have been considered realistic, or I don't know. I'm not an artist, but he went through a very serious change in style. And what we know him for are these Cubist things, or whatever they're called, things that really take a little bit of imagination to figure out. But he always had a story, and they were some deep thinking in what went into those paintings.
Without a doubt. And it was on this date a year later in 1902, the Target Corporation was founded. When was the last time you were in a Target recently?
About a week ago.
There you go. It was founded by American businessman George Dayton.
Oh,
and his first business was called Goodfellow Dry Goods. And it was in Minneapolis, but Target Corporation.
I think it became Dayton's. I think it took his name at some point.
Okay,
yes.
But now it's Target. So, in 1916, on this date, Mary Pickford became the first female star to receive $1 million contract, and this was before talkies. These were silent movies, and she was, I guess, America's sweetheart. I would imagine.
I wonder what her voice was like.
That's good.
Was she one who made the transition?
Well, she actually, I don't think so. I think she tried, and she was older then, too. She was playing the matron, if you will. And she had married the swashbuckler. What was his name? Because his son was also in the movies. For some reason, I can't remember. And that's another edition of Two Old Guys Talking. 1922 on this.
Old enough to remember, but old enough to have lost our memories.
Exactly. Well, last night we were watching a movie, and I was trying to. It was 2012. All right, a great the disaster movie. I've seen it. I don't know how many times, lots. But there's an old actor in there, and he was he was famous for playing the banjo. He was in lots of movies in the '60s and early '70s, and for the life of me, I could not remember his name. And then the president, the guy who played the president, also I had to look them up. I had to ask Siri to help me. Thank God. Oh, it was George Siegel, by the way. No. On this date in 1922, big date for National Football League, because before today, on that date, it was the American Professional Football Association. That's what it was called. But on this date, they changed it to the NFL. Oh, and the Chicago team, it was the Staleys. The Chicago Staleys, and it was on this date that they changed the name to
the Bears.
That's correct. On this date, 1947, just a couple more. Flying saucers sighted over Mount Rainier by pilot Ken Arnold. Kind of famously saw that. Government makes mistakes, right?
Never.
I knew asking you that
Never.
question was right. But every once in a while, government tries to correct their mistake. And
you actually found an example?
I did.
Wow.
I did. I think so anyway. On this date in 1970, the U.S. Senate voted overwhelmingly, by the way, to repeal the Gulf of Tonkin resolution.
Well, I'll be.
And of course, they used, LBJ used that resolution to increase soldiers and equipment in the Vietnam War. So, and two more. On this date in 1992, Billy Joel submitted samples of his writing to his high school, Hicksville High School in New York, because 25 years earlier, he left school with a missing English credit. So he did not get his diploma. So he submitted samples of his writing, and they gave him his diploma at the age of 43.
Well, isn't that amazing?
It's obviously was important to him to get it. So
well, yeah. You go back a couple decades, and he was struggling.
Yes.
He was.
Go ahead.
He is a very talented composer. He's a phenomenal piano player, great singer, has all the elements.
We sing
he
his
was struggling.
praises.
He was struggling.
And in what way? What was he struggling
Well,
with?
he was not getting the kind of traction that he expected, or that, frankly, his producers expected.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of gave it up for a while, and he was challenged. I said, "You got one more chance, buddy." And he came up with this wonderful tune called "Just the Way You Are."
Well, and piano,
and that set him off
Yes.
again. That was the one that really anchored the Billy Joel that we know.
Last one. On this date in 2010, the longest tennis match in history, American John Isner defeated Nicolas Mahut of France in Wimbledon after 11 hours, 5 minutes of play.
When was this?
This was in 2010, and what's also interesting is they had to spread this match out over 3 days.
2010.
Yes.
Do you remember either of these names?
I do remember the event. I don't remember the names. I don't remember. I don't think they went anywhere. I don't think either one of them even got to the quarterfinals. So,
wow.
But this was their claim to fame. Sometimes that's all you get. Sometimes. So,
well, better that than nothing, I guess.
yes. So stick around. We've got Joel Sears as our guest host today. And coming up next, what happened to the Revolution last night? They had a day off yesterday. It wasn't a bad weekend for the team. So are they continuing their winning ways? Let's find out next as the Gary Sutton show for Wednesday rolls on here at WOYK. By the way, you can always let us know what's on your mind with the Text Us Back 9 text line. That's 833-478-4729. You can text us throughout the show. We check it frequently. The Back 9 text line, 833-478-4729. It is 8:23. Good morning. $6:23.
2-0, and now loaded for Blackwell. And he swings and pokes one back up the middle. Ray scores. Here comes Teeter. De La Cruz throws to third. Late there. 4-0 the lead. And Ben Blackwell doing it against his former team. And the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. High fastball from Rhett Koba. He strikes out the side for the second time tonight and has a career high 11 strikeouts in the game. Brian Ray, 3 for 3 with a walk, an RBI, 2 runs. He's got a steal. And he swings and shoots one back up the middle, base hit. Tomo around third. He'll score without a throw. Brian Ray, 4 for 4 tonight. And on base for the 5th time. It's another RBI single, and it's 8-3 here in the 8th. Pitch, swing and a fly ball, hit well, straightaway center. De La Cruz is back. It's over his head. It's off the base of the wall. Ray scores. Teeter in behind him. Ross at second with a 2-run double. And it is 10-3 here in the 8th. As the Revs have reached double digits tonight. Pitch. He swings and lines one to center. There's a base hit. And Brown around third. He is coming in 11-4. And for the second consecutive game, every Revs starter has a hit.
Yeah, there was an amazing game. The 11 strikeouts. I think there were 15 of all the pitchers, which is a lot of strikeouts. They did pretty well against Charleston. And the Revs now 30-25 on the season. The two teams will play again tonight, and airtime begins here with the pregame at 6:15, and I think first pitch around 6:30. So I should have not have shut off Joel's mic quite so soon because going into the break, as I said, it was 8:23. It's obviously 6. It's almost 6:30 now. So sorry about the time check, but you're probably no longer using us as a watch. So anything that you'd like to say, Joel, as we get ready to wrap up the first half hour?
It's just to follow up on that little highlight reel from the Revs. They are a highlight reel every game they play. This isn't. I think it's probably a function of minor league baseball as much as anything, but it's fun.
It is,
and there's a lot of action. It just amazes me.
So stick around. We've got lots more. As a matter of fact, we have State Senator Dawn Keefer coming up. And here's the thing. It's not that Gary doesn't get into, the policy aspects of it, but Joel, that is right in his wheelhouse. We've already been talking behind the scenes here about some things that he wants to ask Dawn, some details on legislation and things that she is proposing. So stick around for that conversation because it's going to be, the nitty gritty. And it actually benefits you because he was telling me about, stick around because we're going to check in the news now. Let's do that. It's the Gary Sutton Show, and our guest host this morning, Joel Sears, a longtime friend of the program. And let's find out what's happening in the news, especially statewide. It is 6:31 at WOYK. Now, Joel, does this sound familiar to you at all?
I liked about a million or so other songs. Yes.
That's true.
Yeah, it's really familiar. Got that same beat.
You know, what's interesting about this song was 1989.
Is that Donny Osmond?
It is. Very good. Well, here's the thing. He felt that he was no longer cool. So in 1989, and they couldn't get radio to play his records. So what they did was they put this record out with like no name on it, and it started getting reaction when some stations would play it, and people really liked it. And come to find out, it was Donny Osmond. So that's how he ended up with this hit, "Soldier of Love." And then, of course, you know, he went on to be, on stage. He's done some plays and what's the other thing? Oh, he had a TV show, I guess,
He
for a while.
had a variety show for a while.
Yeah, so it ended up working out for him, but it was kind of a backwards way of getting back on the radio again from his stuff. And, of course, Gary, have you heard about Gary's list?
Which one?
The list of songs he doesn't like.
Well, I know I don't even want to mention this because I think the studio will blow up. But Holly Jolly Christmas is at the top of that list.
That's right. And as a favor, I reminded him I didn't play it at all last Christmas season.
How did you manage to
resist
the temptation?
It's a little. This is a little more work than the old station. So the old station, I had more opportunities to be mischievous, and this time around, I thought, I'm not going to play it. And let's see if he notices. And he didn't notice, but I did remind him of it. But he has these songs that he does not like, and I don't always remember, there are so many. I don't always remember. But Donny Osmond is one guy he likes. And One Bad Apple, I always remember One Bad Apple is one of his favorite songs. So Anyway, we're going to switch gears now. We're going to be talking about your life and what the legislators are working towards. And we have our policy guy here, Joel Sears, guest hosting for Gary Sutton today. And we're lucky enough to have the state senator from the 31st District, Dawn Keefer, here. And let's let you two folks talk about what you do best.
Well, good morning, Dawn.
Good morning.
Gosh, it's been about 10 years since you and I were actually running for office at the same time.
I was just thinking that, too, and you said that you were who I was going to talk with.
2016. And here I am sitting at the desk, and there you are out running around doing the legislative thing and doing it very well. Thank you. Dawn, do we have you?
You do, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to recall that. And, lately, I guess, when I fast forward to what's happening right now, a couple things jumped. One's a little obscure, this digital advertising tax. It's one of those things that seems to me it's a play on by government to try to get revenue without really disclosing the full extent and the full reach of this tax. Could you give us a little bit of background on that one?
Right. Okay, so Pennsylvania, since I guess just after I got here, shortly after I had gotten to the House, has consistently spent more money than they actually bring in that they collect in taxes, right? That's what they call the deficit. And so we're always looking for a new way to squeeze more money. So we'll call it a fee. That way we can say we didn't tax you, right? But we double fees. Some fees have gone up 500%. And so anything we can think of, any new creative ways that we can squeeze more money out of businesses or citizens, we'll do it. Not me personally. I'm one that's pretty much a watchdog for it. But in this case, in the digital ad, they're going to tax digital ads. So these are all the ads that we see on a regular basis. If you're online, if you email, whatever it is, you will see these digital ads, and they want to tax it. And they already pay tax, to be clear, right? They're paying the corporate taxes. They're paying income tax. They're already paying these taxes. But that's how it's positioned, is that we're going to tax these big companies like Amazon and Google. to make sure that they pay their fair share, even though they are paying now. And to be clear, these will just get passed on to the consumers. So we're all going to pay for it. It will just be increased costs for all of us. And how they tried to tee this up so that it was palatable for members to vote for was to say, and we're going to use some of that money to provide property tax relief. But the property tax relief that they claim they're going to provide with this would be for those who have experienced the highest spikes in property taxes. So that would be the Southeast. Those very, some of those that are spending $30,000 plus in public schools per child because they have these McMansions. So the very people they claim that they want to make sure they're paying the fair share, right? That's the ones who are going to get the tax relief out of this.
Well, let me roll this thing back just a second, just a little bit of a detail. When you talk about taxing digital advertising, is that a revenue tax? A tax on revenue. In other words, regardless of whether Amazon or whomever, some small advertiser for that matter, or a startup web-based company, they're going to pay tax on revenue, whether they make profit or not. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that's a major difference.
Yep, you're charging for that ad, right? $50 is what you will pay tax on that $50.
Are those rates set in this legislation?
Are the rates spelled out in that legislation?
Yes.
I'd have to look again. It just passed the House, and when I had just caught it, I thought, oh my goodness, we have to get on top of this right now so that it does not have a chance.
Well, segue now to the other end of it. If the promise is to use this revenue to somehow or other offset school property taxes, and is it school or is it property taxes in general?
School property taxes.
All right, school property taxes, and then of course that segues to what you and Wendy Fink have been doing for the better part of 2 years now to try to get some traction on school property tax. I'm going to say elimination, but replacement. We all know there has to be replacement revenue. And I guess the question that I have for you, Dawn, is how is it different this time? What are you feeling as you go around the state? What do you feel when you talk to your colleagues in Harrisburg about the possibilities of actually pushing this across the finish line?
You're talking about Wendy Fink and my bill?
Yes.
How is that different? Well, I would tell you, it doesn't feel very different. And I would tell you the reason why Wendy and I have been going across the state and doing town halls and educating people is because of the skepticism of the public, right? Most have said, yeah, you've been saying this. Harrisburg has been saying this for how many years? We don't believe you. We don't trust you. So that's why we have been going across the state to say, here's how it would work. Here's how it would be implemented. And here's the next step that you can do, right, to try to get this to have traction in Harrisburg. So, which is asking their members to sign on and to support this bill to get support, bipartisan support across the state. But we break it down. We show them what the numbers are. They can plug in their numbers and see, hey, how would this plan actually impact us? And we try to be as candid as possible, and we leave well over an hour of our town halls.
Right.
It's just a comment, public question and answer so that people leave there feeling like they've got their answers.
Well, do you come away thinking that there are some changes that might need to be made to the legislation to get it across the finish line?
So we did that initially. So initially, when we started out with this plan, we were thinking, that we would tax food. That was removed. There's also something that we're looking at, too, regarding private equity in single-family homes, making sure that we're protecting, because that's been a big issue. So the fear that was brought up in a couple of the town halls is that, right, this could be possibly a way that private equity, banks the money right into property in Pennsylvania because it's not taxed.
Well, this to me has been one of those almost lifelong passions. I didn't really pay much attention to it when I first came to Pennsylvania. The property taxes were different, for one thing. I mean, obviously, we say property tax, and then we have this thing called the county tax and the municipal tax and the school tax. And for some of us, the fire tax or whatever other taxing jurisdiction relies on property values. It's a wealth tax. That's exactly what it is. When we talk about equity in homes and value of homes and so forth, this is the American dream. We're supposed to be able to build equity so that we can have lifelong security in our homes and maybe even pass something on to our kids. School property taxes, as you well know, take that prospect of home ownership away. We're paying rent. The rent goes up every year. The services don't go up, which is kind of interesting. And I've never been able to call the school district to come and have them replace the pipes in my house like I might a good landlord. So from that standpoint, just philosophically speaking, I think it grates on most people's nerves. I'm of the opinion that it's unconstitutional. I think there's absolutely no way to make school property taxes uniform, hence it violates the uniformity clause. It can't be uniform. If assessments are arbitrary, how can the taxes be uniform? So I'll throw that at you.
No, I don't disagree with that at all. And I think it's the most regressive tax we have. It's not based, you're calling a wealth tax. I don't think it's based upon anybody's ability to pay.
Absolutely
have
not.
Young couples who would inherit property from, like a legacy farm or something, and they can't afford the taxes on it, even when it's in clean and green. And then to the flip side of that, where people are saying, we have elderly who are losing their homes. Well, we also have an entire generation who can't afford to get into their first home because in our area, right, it's about $500 you have to have additionally just to escrow for property taxes. And then, when you talk about that uniformity, right, this is why we can't get the traction. So in York County, in the 31st district, the average property tax is about $3,800 school property tax, okay? But if you go to areas like Bedford and West, it depends on the school district, right? You're talking an average property tax of like $900.
Right.
Right, because they get like 80% of their school funding is coming from the state. We're only getting 30%. So we're getting penalized for growing, and they're getting subsidized. I mean, we got some of these school districts with graduating classes of 37 students, and they still get the same amount of money as they got every year before, and more.
Well, this is part of the problem with, the Commonwealth form of government. It's very difficult to get uniformity across the state in any of these things because we're faced with 2,500 municipalities, 500 school districts. Even here in York County, what do we have, 72 jurisdictions or something like that? And to try to get any kind of agreement or any kind of uniformity in the way we create a tax base, spread the wealth, so to speak, it's just one of the most bizarre things in the world. I think it's something that a PhD policy expert would love to come in and examine sometime, just to try to understand how we got this way. I don't see any real prospect for change, Dawn. I hate to be the daddy.
I know. And I will say, everybody always, when we go to these town halls, everybody will say, why don't you do this? And why don't you do it this way? Why don't you do it like Florida? Florida's, if I was starting from scratch, this would not be the plan, I assure you. Right? This is a convoluted beast I have inherited, so I'm trying to work within those confines. And so when you're trying to compare, like, have you looked at other states and what they do? Well, sure I have, but they're not structured like Pennsylvania. So Florida has a 10% tax in everything, right? Well, not in Pennsylvania, right? Like, food's not taxed. Some clothing, if it's fancy, it is taxed, but regular clothing's not taxed. Services aren't taxed, but it's crazy.
It is definitely
right?
a mixed bag.
Right, so it's a tough, so trying to take all of that's how this bill has gotten to 300 pages, right? It's because we're trying to navigate that whole thing. But I will tell you this, we can sit on our hands and do nothing. But this governor has spoken 2 different times now about the fact that we don't tax pensions. And that's one of the linchpins in this is that people
that's a third rail, Dawn. There's no doubt about that.
That have reservations.
I hope we can continue this sometime. I'm getting a high sign from Mark that we need to roll with it. Thank you very much for sitting with us this morning and trying to dig into the weeds on the school property tax replacement bill.
Yep, no problem. Have a great morning.
Thank you, Dawn.
I want to tell you, that was a very interesting conversation between you two. And, that's why you're here, Joel.
Well, thank you, Mark.
Yes, absolutely. And we're going to hopefully have more of the same when we hear your conversation maybe with Julie Wheeler, president of the York County Commissioners, at 8:35 this morning. But right now, we're going to take a quick break. Birthdays coming up next. And a song you probably haven't heard from. This guy's got a bunch of them as a drummer. But, they only play the drums. So I'm going to try to expand your horizons next. It is the Gary Sutton Show with guest host Joel Sears on WOYK. It's 6:50, 10 away from 7. Was that enough drums for you?
I love it.
Now, have you ever heard this song before?
Oh, I imagine so. This is a Fleetwood Mac.
It is. It's before, I think, Buckingham and Nicks joined, and that's Peter Green, I think. I think it's Peter Green. Anyway, the drummer, though, has not changed, and his name is Mick Fleetwood, and he leads our birthdays today. How old do you think he is?
Wow, 83.
That's not a bad guess, but he's not that old. He is 79. Another musician, let's see, Kurt Smith. He's the singer in Oh, gosh, I can't believe I forgot.
Come on, we're in your wheelhouse.
I
now.
know.
Let's go.
I've only played like a million songs of his. It's Tears for Fears. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, some great songs there. Kurt Smith, 65 today. Lionel Messi.
Lionel
Messi.
39.
39 today. Of course, probably the greatest soccer player in the world right now, leading Argentina in the World Cup. Mindy Kaling, who is Kelly on The Office, she is 47. Nancy Allen, you remember her? Nancy Allen and Peter Weller were both in a movie together. And I think it was because Nancy Allen's husband at the time, I think De Laurentiis, I think he was one of the, no, Brian, it might have been De Laurentiis. Anyway, RoboCop. They were both in RoboCop, and they both have the same birthday. So she is 76 today, and Peter Weller is 79. And have you seen the Amazon show The Boys?
I have not.
I was turned on to this show. It is very violent and at times vile. A lot of money put into it, and kind of shocking because in this show, The Boys, the government is basically subsidizing superheroes, and they're running on the surface they're fighting crime, but underneath all that they're strong arming, and one of the good guys is a woman superhero called Starlight, and her actress, her name is Erin Moriarty, and she is 32 today. I hesitate to recommend it because it's not for everybody. I mean, heads get ripped off, and it's a shocking show in a number of ways, but it's also thought-provoking as well. Anyway, we're getting close to news time at the top of the hour. Got to take care of some business.
Brakes. Make sure they're ready. If you hear squeaking, feel vibration when braking, or you just want reassurance before a road trip this summer, a quick inspection can make a big difference. It's the kind of thing that helps you relax and actually enjoy the drive. Stop by Jack G. and Balvo, and they'll take care of making sure that's right for you. There are 6 great locations here for Jack G. and Balvo in the York area. They want to be your perfect road trip companion this summer, and they start by making sure those brakes are working. But they also start by helping you with a pre-owned vehicle. You can go to gandbalvopreownedinventory.com right now for a hassle-free, pressure-free approach to finding that pre-owned vehicle that's just right for you. 6 great locations. And when you shop with G. and Balvo, you get free state inspections for you and anyone in your family, a 3-month, 3,000-mile warranty on most vehicles, and road-worthy inspection that is unbelievable. Jack G. and Balvo is ready to be your perfect road trip companion this summer. Check them out at gandbalvopreownedinventory.com, and please tell them Gary Sutton proudly sent you to Jack G. and Balvo, family of dealerships.
So let me ask you this question, Joel Sears, guest host. Are you officially retired?
I am in the sense that my professional duties are over, but I spend a lot of time with my band. So I don't really feel like I'm retired.
We have to talk about that. When we get a free moment, I want to talk about that. Yesterday, just so you know, listeners, I suggested that he bring in his trombone and that we only use have him play us in and out of breaks, but
I refused.
You did refuse. Here's a band, though.
And you're going to thank me for that, folks.
I don't know. I hear you're pretty good. But here, speaking of bands, check this out. They have not retired yet.
The Rolling Stones guitarist Keith Richards says he isn't sure he's up to future Stones tours, but that doesn't rule out the band playing live again. In a new interview with Uncut, Richards raised the idea of the band playing residencies, saying he sees the possibility of them doing a residency somewhere like London, New York, or Paris, and that he's still excited about the Stones. The band's latest album, Foreign Tongues, is due out July 10th. The Stones also revealed a new 6-part podcast series called Speaking in Tongues, featuring interviews about the new album, which drops Thursday, one day before their single Jealous Lover hits. Michelle Polino, Fox News.
I can't believe it. These guys just never stop. It's kind of refreshing in a way.
That's what music will do for you.
I guess so. Let's talk about, in the time we have remaining, There are how many buildings in Manhattan that have their own zip code?
74.
42. There are 42. Coming up, Joel will be chatting with Jeff Coleman. We'll also have a Fox Sports update, and we'll check in with Tim Barker as well. And all of that is ahead on the Gary Sutton Show for a Wednesday morning. It is 7 o'clock.
This is York's only local show on York's only local station. This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Listen to your show every day. It's really good.
I have you guys on every morning to wake up to.
Gary Sutton, mornings 6 to 9 on Sports Radio 98.9 FM and 1350 WOYK.
All the things you're talking about are all the things we're talking about. It's Main Street America every day.
And you're getting your money's worth.
You're a brilliant mind, tremendous experience. You're great for the community.
The Gary Sutton Show on York's first station, WOYK.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
Actually, Mark McKenzie here. Gary off till Monday. A well-deserved time off. I understand he needs golf. Although he plays golf when he works, so, like later in the day. But this time it's a big tournament that he's looking forward to, and I wish him luck. And, I had a chance to get tan and relax last week, and now one of us is always going to hold down the fort here, I have a feeling. So looking forward to today's program, actually each one of these, because we have different guest hosts as we move forward. Tomorrow, Jamie Norpel. On Friday, Jim Hanneslager. And on Monday, Jamie will be coming back. And this morning, Joel Sears, a frequent guest, a longtime friend of the show. And Joel, welcome and good morning.
Well, thank you, Mark. It's a pleasure to be here.
So in the show open, we used the famous "I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore." It just made me think, you're a pretty mild-mannered guy. I wanted. Do you ever get mad like that?
There are times, yeah.
Are there?
When I channel my younger self, where I had no control of any kind.
Gary talks about that. We talked about that. I think it was yesterday or right before I went away, where younger, you're full of that. I'm not going to say that P and V, as they say, and but you learn more control as you grow up and learn what's important and what's not, and what you can let go. Yesterday, that's what it was. Yesterday was Let It Go Day. In sports, of course, which is one of the reasons why you listen to WOYK. I was just checking the sport. We had the Revs highlights last hour. The Revs won 11-4 last night in Charleston. They play again there tonight at 6:30, and I happened to check the Orioles lost, but the big shocker for me was the Phillies. When I went to bed last night, the Phillies were losing 5-0, and they won that game against the Nationals 14-9, which is, they don't score a lot of runs. I mean, they do when they hit homers, but as it turned out last night, not a heck of a lot of homers, but just kind of interesting that the Phils actually ended up winning that game, down 5-0. So anyway, coming up this hour, Tim Barker, DA of York County, a movie that came out in 1987. He hadn't had something, everybody remembers, the scene with the baked beans around the campfire. You remember that movie?
Blazing Saddles.
That's right. And he always has an interesting take on different aspects of American culture. And he went where none of his movies had ever gone before. And we'll rediscover the trailer to that movie a little bit later in this hour. But right now, I understand that you have, of Jeff Coleman.
Jeff and I met for the last time back in 2022 when he was running for lieutenant governor.
Interesting.
And he had a luncheon event at Grandview.
Okay.
That I attended. But Jeff and I have run into each other several times over the last 20 years or so.
Excellent.
And he's one of my role models in politics.
Well, go for it. Let's have a conversation here this morning on the Gary Sutton Show.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hey, good morning, Joel. It's good to reconnect after all these years, and I think you and I probably met back at least in one of the many reform efforts that you were a part of, perhaps on school property taxes back in those early days of Sam Rohr's campaign for governor. So great to hear your voice.
Yeah, that was. I mean, those are memories that are bittersweet, Jeff, and I'm sure you have a few of your own. when you look back on it. I think about, what little I know about your history in politics is that, one, you were extremely young at the time. You won as a Republican in a heavily Democrat district.
That's right.
And you did it the old-fashioned way. Knocking doors, making relationships, not over-promising. And then I guess the one promise you did make was to term limit yourself, which you did.
Yeah.
Correct? You served 2 terms, and that was that.
I did, and I don't know that, I think a term limit is a powerful way to kind of keep your ego in check. I think after you arrive in Harrisburg, there are enough people that say you're the most valuable and important person, and imagine the Capitol without you. And you really, Joel, as you've seen, many politicians over the years grow or devolve, depending on how you look at it. You say, man, what would you be like outside of the building? So I'm very grateful for that forced stop. I think for me, the bigger stop was, did I really want to be a real husband and a dad, and living 3.5, 4 hours away from the state capitol really made that almost impossible. So it was a good choice. 4 children later, and this many years into marriage, I think the decision to walk away from the legislature was a good one.
Well, I think you made that choice at a time that most of us would not have. We're thinking we're at the beginning of our adventure. In this case, you pat yourself on the back and say, now look at what I can do. I'm 4 years into this thing. People know my name. I know where my office is. I got a little bit bigger desk. It's all good. It's all uphill from here. And now look back on, and I imagine you probably have a few friends who are still there, who ran in the same cycle you did, or close. So
I'm trying to think. There are probably 1 or 2 left. My class advanced. Mm-hmm. One of them became the Speaker of the House. Others, committee chairman. And I think that, Joel, is something of the deceit for those of us who enter political office, and that is, there will come a day when my power and access and connections, I'll be able to turn that around and use it for the people. I'll have accumulated enough power, and I'll be able to preserve my principles, and I'll be able to use it for good.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of that.
Yeah, there's a trade-off, though. There's something that happens when you are aiming to preserve power, and it is not necessarily on the causes you advocate, but the things that you don't advocate. You go, but that's going to hurt my relationship with the governor. That's going to hurt my relationship with the president. If I really say what I believe and think about this particular issue or that issue, I'm not going to get that advancement. They're not going to write that check. So then you end up having a very narrow path of issues you can discuss. The other kind of alternative to that is just people being completely reckless with their words and saying whatever comes to the top of mind, and that's not it either. You've got to have some kind of regulator or governor on your heart and on your tongue, which is probably the most difficult part.
I couldn't agree more. And over the course of my lifetime, I've had more opportunities than not to put the governor on when I didn't. And, it's not something you can take back. You don't get the do-over. Some people can dig out and they can reclaim their reputations, but for most of us, it's once and done. And, you need to think about that before. Put that little microsecond or two between your thought and your tongue and let things, roll out in a little bit more, not necessarily diplomatic, but in a way that will elicit conversation, not versation. This one-way stuff is just...
Joe, I mean, what you're looking at, what you're describing there is kind of corporate communication, which is completely kind of stripped of any passion or emotion or humanity. It's the way to protect yourself against a lawsuit. And then there is kind of people who speak from the heart and from principle. That's kind of the middle way. And then there's just people that speak unfiltered and unregulated. I had a chance to work with a company recently who had some public relations issues with a major regulator in a large state, and they wanted to game out a session of me talking to them as if I were the press and asking them difficult questions. And to a person, there were about 7 executives on that call. They never addressed the issue, and they never spoke humanly. They never said, I get this. I understand why our neighbors are upset. I understand why you might not want those emissions in the air, but here's what we've done to correct it. Instead, they spoke in very, very guarded language, and I've seen that over and over again, both in the corporate world and the political world, where people kind of like your energy, but afterwards, if you rewind the tape, they say, what did you say? What were you promising? Or did you say nothing at all?
There's a lot of nothing at all, Jeff. A lot of nothing at all. And here we are with arguably the most important day in the life of our country coming up this 4th of July.
Yeah.
Until the next day. But a 250th anniversary is something to marvel over.
Sure
It's
is.
young by world standards, but to imagine that this democracy has managed to keep its legs and its roots for this period of time, even though it's, I believe, severely under attack.
Yeah.
And to me, it's the separation. You look at that, maybe what life was like when I first registered to vote way back when, and the difference between the two major parties was really not that stark.
Yeah.
There was a much bigger intersection of understanding, values, principles, and even approaches. Today, that common middle ground, if it does exist, it's certainly not on display anywhere.
Well, the middle ground, if you just want to roll back the tape to 1976, so you've got Watergate, you've got Gerald Ford running for re-election. He's going to lose that election by, as you remember, by a nail biter. You've got there's a severe gap between the views of young people and older Americans, and there's a huge divide, a crack right down the middle between Republicans and Democrats at the grassroots level. But the party went on. And I think the reason the party went on is because the people in charge, President Ford and others, put the country first in their rhetoric. So if you go back and you read what people were saying in 1976, there was a lot of turmoil, and nobody was popular politically, and nobody trusted anybody. But what you did have is a baseline to say, hey, when Queen Elizabeth came and brought the Centennial Bell, when we had all these different celebrations off with the ships and all the reconstructed battles and all that stuff, you were going back to the idea of America. And what we're losing in this, I think, 250th celebration, as we talk about algae and statues and UFC fights and all of the rest of the sideshows, is I have yet to hear anybody make the case at a national level for what is the uniqueness and the exceptionalism of what it means to be an American. What does it mean? And Gary and I talk about this all the time, Joel. When I travel, the idea of America is it is the one place, if my country fails, if my government fails, if we get invaded or bombed, as long as I get to America, everything will be okay because I'll be able to breathe, choose my faith, choose my job, choose my career path, choose my wife or husband, choose my path. And that is the message I think that we have to remind each other of if we're going to have a party in 2 weeks, because right now it's feeling pretty sour.
It is, Jeff, and those are exactly the thoughts that I would like to leave us with right now. And thank you very much for being able to summarize it and say it so well. Thank you.
Anytime, my friend. Thanks for all you're doing, and stay in the fight and don't despair.
Thank you.
That's a great message right there. I think a lot of people, it's hard work to follow what you could call the chaos. And, don't despair. Just keep your attention, eye on the sparrow, as they say. One more thing to do before we get to that Fox Sports update.
The Gary Sutton Show, the Main Street of York, is brought to you by our presenting sponsors, kindnessworldwide.org. What are you going to do to bring more kindness into your sphere of influence today? Check them out at kindnessworldwide.org. And Anstein and Sparler, attorneys at law, 117 East Market Street in York. You can give them a call today at 717-846-8811. Their primary area of focus since 1937 has been estate planning, the state administration, family law, and municipal law and military law. And they're ready to help you. They're open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5. Anstein and Sparler, attorneys at law, and Kindness Worldwide, proud sponsors of the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Joel Sears in for Gary Sutton. I don't know if you saw, Joel, that Gary has posted an AI image of you.
I did see that. I think that's absolutely wonderful.
It looks exactly like you.
I played a game the other day with AI, and I decided I needed to know what I look like with a beard.
Oh, really?
And it was all inspired by Gary and his messing around with these AI images. So
yes, well, he's definitely got you. If you check out Facebook this morning, you'll see you'll see what Joel looks like. And you know what? It's almost exact.
We're just missing the pipe.
Is that what it is?
Right.
No pipe. Anyways, stand by. We've got Fox Sports Update, and then chat with, Keith Rill of YourMedicareSolutions.net, the sponsor of this hour, and very important as well, because when you're making choices, it's very confusing. And that's what YourMedicareSolutions.net is all about, to help give you the information, and we'll learn more about it right after this break. It is 7:20. It's the Gary Sutton Show with guest host Joel Sears on WOYK.
Fox Sports Update.
With the first pick in the 2026 NBA Draft, the Washington Wizards select Anise Debonsa Jr. from Brigham Young University.
A dream come true for A.J. Debonsa. Wanted his full name announced by Commissioner Adam Silver to honor his father.
The NBA Draft on ABC and ESPN. After A.J. Debonsa went first overall to the Wizards, the Utah Jazz took Darren Peterson from Kansas. Memphis Grizzlies went with Cameron Boozer from Duke. The fourth pick by the Chicago Bulls, Caleb Wilson from North Carolina. Fifth selection, the Los Angeles Clippers took Keaton Wagler from Illinois. The Dallas Mavericks picked Merez Johnson Jr., who will reunite with his Michigan coach, Dusty May, now the Mavericks head coach. An NBA first, a player born in Mexico picked in the first round. Kareem Lopez, taken 21st overall by the Pistons, then traded to the Grizzlies. Speaking of Mexico, World Cup last night in Guadalajara.
And that's going to do it full time. Colombia escape. And they pick up their second win of the tournament. They top the group after match day 2. And once again, it's the right back, Daniel Munoz, who is the hero.
On Fox Sports 1, Daniel Munoz scored for the second straight game for Colombia, which advanced to the knockout round of 32 with a 1-0 win over the Democratic Republic of Congo. England failed to clinch a spot in the knockout round Tuesday, played a scoreless draw versus Ghana. Croatia still in contention after a 1-0 win over Panama that ended Panama's chance at the knockout round. 41-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo scored 2 goals in Portugal's 5-0 win over Uzbekistan. 4 points now for Portugal, 2 behind Colombia in Group K. Every team has now played twice. The start of the third round of group stage play begins today. 6 matches in all, 3 apiece on Fox and FS1. For more scores, stories, and features, go to foxsports.com. I'm Jared Max.
Get more on the Fox Sports app and foxsports.com.
It is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. By the way, you can always tell us what's on your mind with the Back 9 text line 833-478-4729. You can text us throughout the show. And right now, Medicare it can be kind of confusing. And to help you out, yourmedicaresolutions.net and Keith Rill are there to, Keith and Becky, as a matter of fact, to help you make the right decisions, the ones that are right for you. And Joel Sears is our guest host today. And Joel, you had to make a lot of choices in Medicare as well, so you know what I'm talking about. Let's chat with Keith about making the right choices.
Good morning, Keith.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm just great. It's nice to meet you finally. I listen to you every week as you discuss these issues with Gary, and it's absolutely fascinating. I know, you think, well, let's just go back a few years. You look like you're a little bit younger than I am. So it's 8th grade, and it's career day, and Mrs. Smith says to Keith, what do you want to do when you grow up? And you say, I'm going to be a Medicare consultant. And the people in the class look and say, a what? So now here we are. And it really fascinates me when I think about all the things that we can do in life to make a buck and how our country, our wonderful, the choices that are available to us, open up a door like the one that you opened up. I find that fascinating. But on a more serious note, Medicare is no joke. And for most of us, it's probably one of the most confusing decisions we have to make in life. We know it's coming, but I'm going to ask you, how many people walk into your office fully knowledgeable and prepared when they turn 65?
Yeah, almost none. I mean, it's really rare. I'd say probably maybe 3%. Really understand what's going on and kind of have an idea which direction they want to go. So, I mean, and that's kind of the foundation of our business is to educate. I always tell people it's like, probably 85% of what we do is education and 15% is sales, which is actually a good thing because I'm a really crappy salesperson. So, it's all about education and helping people understand what's going on, and so that they can make the best subjective decision for themselves. So, yeah, it's in 8th grade I would have had no idea I'd be doing this for a living, but here we are, and we're really enjoying it and helping a whole bunch of people, get through, kind of navigate the Medicare maze, if you will.
Well, think about the amount of time we spend nowadays on Medicare, when both Social Security and then later on when Medicare were created, with entry points at roughly age 65. The average age, the average mortality was probably no more than 68 to 70. So the economics of it were one thing. Today we're living much, much longer. We're dependent more on both Social Security and Medicare than ever before. It's really not optional when you think about it. So these decisions are
not at all.
You know, half of our adult lives are wrapped up in the kinds of things that you think about all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the other interesting thing. You mentioned the life expectancy and the way the system was designed, you know, to maybe cover, you know, people for 10 or 20 years. And, you know, and it was also designed, you know, during a time where there were relatively few, compared to today, you know, much fewer treatments. I always use the analogy that imagine 50 years ago, the cure for a bum knee was a $5 cane, and today it's a $50,000 knee replacement.
Correct.
Well, you know, the Medicare system originally was designed to accommodate the $5 cane, not the $50,000 knee replacement. So when people look at the increases in, you know, premiums and things of that nature, you know, that's kind of the answer to, you know, to a lot of those questions, is that there's a heck of a lot more treatments available to us to help us live a lot longer and a lot more comfortably than we ever have, which is an awesome thing. But you know, that comes at a cost, right? So, you know, I think it's important that, you know, people understand that in terms of costs, and if they're wondering why, you know, things are getting more expensive, and the biggest reason is because there is so much more health care available now than there ever was.
Correct.
And by and large, it's health insurance that pays for it.
Absolutely. Right. Well, Keith, we have to run to a news break, and so in the time remaining, could you tell us all how to get a hold of you?
Well, our number is 717-487-4382, and that's how you call us. And call us to schedule an appointment if you're turning 65, becoming Medicare eligible, and want help getting through the Medicare maze. Anything with individual health insurance, give us a call, and we can point you in the right direction. We'll meet with you. We'll help understand your needs and get you on the right path to individual health insurance, including Medicare.
That's exactly what we need, Keith. Thank you very much this morning.
You're most welcome. Thank you for having me on, Joel.
That is Keith Rill, yourmedicaresolutions.net. Check it out if you are in the market. If you're 64, I guess you can wait. And if you're 66, you know what? I think you can still go and probably still get, you know, because you have to do updates every year. So it's not a bad idea. You don't have to be just 65, if you know what I mean. Stick around. The DA of York County, Tim Barker, is our next guest for Joel Sears, our guest host here on the Gary Sutton Show for a Wednesday morning. It is 7:33. It's the Gary Sutton Show. Here we go. You know, it was a good song. But Madonna, she knows what she's doing. Bumper music from 1989, and I was trying to get Dino's "I Like It" for the DA, but I had a technical difficulty, so we will work on that later. Anyway, it's the Gary Sutton Show. Gary on vacation for a little while. Joel Sears, our policy guy, who's in here. You've been part of the show for quite a while, and now you have the opportunity to guest host. How's it going so far?
So far, so good. But I'll let you be the judge.
Yes. No. I agree. So, and I think it's been very helpful with the guests that we have had with your relationship with Jeff Coleman and State Senator Dawn Kiefer, and hopefully with Julie Wheeler, the President Commissioner, next hour. I don't know how it's quite going to go now, though. By the way, the hour brought to you by yourmedicaresolutions.net. And let's find out how the conversation goes. Now, you say you know this guy.
Yes, I do.
He is
Tim and I have known each other for years.
District Attorney of York County, Tim Barker. And good morning to both of you guys.
Hey, Tim.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. I think the last time we were face-to-face in a social setting, it was at Yanni's. We had lunch together.
That's correct.
Been a while. But, yeah, I had something that probably consumed 2 or 3 meals later. Cause let's say it was ample.
Yeah, it was, I definitely, that Yanni's is like a 3-meal kind of establishment, always leftovers to take home.
I look forward to that. Tim, I had a text from Gary that suggested that we talk about a really interesting recent Supreme Court ruling. And it may seem a little wonkish, but when I think about marijuana and the ubiquitousness of it, I'm intrigued to know how the Supreme Court can deal with this kind of thing. It's a little convoluted. This is a Second Amendment issue as much as, that's the basis of it, isn't it?
Yes. So one of the things that caught my attention with it is the headlines. So the way the headlines were reported, and this always drives me crazy, and why I always tell everybody, if you get the chance, read the actual text of the opinions or really trusted legal analysts, because headlines can drive you crazy. Because when this case came out, it was United States versus Hamani. Just a couple weeks ago, it made it sound like from the headlines that the Supreme Court made some drastic major ruling that was opening the doors to nationwide legalization of marijuana, that it was something more than what it was. Because what the case actually is, it really is calling out, in my personal opinion as a prosecutor, prosecutorial and governmental hypocrisy. Because they went and tried to charge someone. Now, originally, there's Ali Hamani was a dual citizen of U.S. and Pakistan, born in Texas, lived in Texas with his family, whole life, working. At some point in time, and the opinion doesn't go into details of this, his family was suspected of terrorism-related activities, so search warrants executed in 2022. And when they were searching, Mr. Hamani was cooperative with them, said, yes, I have a firearm. Here's my firearm. They pointed out where there was marijuana in the residence. He said, I use marijuana every other day. Now, there was also some cocaine found that was attributed to the parents, but not, Hamani tried to claim then that it was his. But nothing that was done by the government after that in bringing charges had anything to do with cocaine. There's no allegations of cocaine distribution, no nothing else.
They went and they charged him under federal law 922G3, and that was because he was knowingly possessing a firearm while being a user unlawfully of a controlled substance, which primarily was coming from his own statement, that being marijuana. They presented no evidence whatsoever that he was dangerous on marijuana, anything else regarding consumption rates, anything else regarding the marijuana, nothing. They just said flatly, unlawful use of a controlled substance, therefore lifetime ban of a firearm and 15 years incarceration. You can face up to that federally. And they tried to justify it. Under the Second Amendment, there has been, and we've litigated a lot of these laws as it relates to felons who are prohibited from possessing firearms, and the U.S. Supreme Court hasn't weighed in fully on that yet, but we believe that they will be upholding those specific types of prohibitions. But you basically got to show that the regulations are consistent with the nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation. You don't have to find a precise historical precursor or historical twin, but it's got to, by analogy, be relevantly similar, and it basically focuses on the why and the how behind the regulations. The government tried to go ahead, and this I find to be, it's creative. They tried to go ahead and say, well, this is, as its historical twin, is habitual drunkard laws. This is what is relevantly similar, is the habitual drunkard laws from back in the early days of the founding of our country. Tried to point to a few different examples of it, and quite frankly, the U.S. Supreme Court was having none of it. All 9 justices rejected the argument. Some concurred with a little different nuance to a couple things, but Justice Gorsuch wrote the lead opinion. They all rejected it. And one thing that Justice Gorsuch pointed out, which really caught my eye as a prosecutor, is that the government undercut its position because the DOJ was directing, at the same time they're charging this person, the Department of Justice was directing federal prosecutors to curtail their enforcement against marijuana users. And most states were adopting some form of legalization of marijuana, be it medical or be it full use. And also they noted that very recently the reclassification occurred from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3. But and so they really, their language is very critical of, wait a minute, you want to go ahead and charge this person with no proof of anything else other than he said he used every other day. You haven't shown at all that he was dangerous or anything else that would disqualify in any other way. At the same time, you were encouraging people to not prosecute marijuana use cases. You could just feel the condemnation of hypocrisy coming through the language of the court. But knowing that this could be twisted later on, they made sure to make clear this is narrow, based upon the blanket prohibition of a controlled substance. We're not saying anything about disarming individuals convicted of felonies, which are often drug-related. Nothing about bringing a prosecution under the section accompanied by individualized proof of the defendant's use of marijuana or any other drugs that renders himself a danger to himself or others, or proof that certain drugs can render its users dangerous because of its potency or for any other reason. They're like, none of these questions are before us. They didn't present any evidence of it. It's not the question, and we reserve those to another day.
Well,
but if you're going to try...
what do we learn from that in general?
So,
in the sense that you're a practical guy. You're sitting as our county district attorney, and you have any number of issues to deal with. What's the takeaway for you from a practical standpoint?
So from a practical standpoint, number one, I'll start with Second Amendment. If you're going to intrude upon the Second Amendment, and they've had a couple of cases like this that we've appealed, and have won on appeal before the PA Supreme Court, because there are a lot of challenges after the Bruin case came out, is that you really got to make sure that you are showing and establishing the traditional route of when we have accepted in our country that you can pierce the Second Amendment right to defend yourself. And so, there are certain situations that can and do. They held that PFAs, that if you take a firearm from somebody who has a protection from abuse order, which is currently the law, that's constitutional because that's like the historical surety of the peace laws. So it focused on violence. It focused on the purpose that way. So you really got to make sure you're honoring and protecting the Second Amendment.
Right.
Second practical takeaway is this, and this is one of the things that you almost feel like happened here. They went and did a search warrant for one reason. They had probable cause to suspect something that was very serious of terrorism. They clearly did not find the evidence of any of that activity in the search warrant, but they found something and decided to try to make a charge out of it. You should not try to go ahead and do that and create novel legal theories to advance the fact that you believe an individual should have been prosecuted for something else.
You don't get to go hunt for the crime.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. And that's what this seems like in this case was an underpinning happening. And that's why we have courts, prosecutors generally don't do that at all. It can happen, and the hypocrisy in 2022 to 2023 in this instance of having a DOJ saying, don't prosecute marijuana users, yet prosecute this person based upon an admission of marijuana use, and he happened to have a firearm in his home. That really, really undercut what was occurring.
Absolutely.
We have to always follow our ethics and really be careful with what we do as prosecutors.
Absolutely. Tim, I'm going to leave you with one thought right now. I'm going to thank you for being the anti-hypocrisy DA right here in York County. How's that?
Hey, that is one of my big things I try to be at all times.
Right.
I hate hypocrisy. Let's just walk forward in truth.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for being with us this morning.
That was a great explanation of, because everybody's waiting for, I guess the big one is the birthright citizenship decision. And I don't think, they've only got a few more days before they release these things, supposedly by the end of June. So the days are running out. And that was one that came out last week, one of the decisions. So it's interesting to highlight that. It might have flown under a lot of people's radar. So coming up, after the break, we've got a movie. Is it iconic? I don't think so, but certainly for the creator of the movie, he certainly did it again, and it's memorable for that alone. We'll check out the trailer from a movie that opened on this date in, I'll give you a little bit of a hint, 1987. Stand by. It's the Gary Sutton Show with guest host. It is Joel Sears here on WOYK.
There it is, planet Druidia. And underneath the air shield, 10,000 years of fresh air. We must get through that air shield.
We will, sir. Once we kidnap the princess, we can force her father, King Roland, to give us the combination to the air shield, thereby destroying planet Druidia and saving planet Spaceball.
Everybody got that?
Spaceballs, the movie.
Princess Vespa spaceship within range, sir. Good.
What's going on? It's either the 4th of July or someone's trying to kill us.
Now we will show her who is in charge of this galaxy.
If you do not give me the combination to the air shield, Dr. Slotkin will give your daughter back her old nose.
Only one man and his trusted companion can save planet Druidia from disaster.
Okay, Eagle 5, coming in.
Lone Star. First, they must learn the secrets of yogurt.
Yogurt? I am the keeper of a greater magic.
The Force?
No, the Schwartz.
Avoid capture on a distant planet.
Tell them to comb the desert, you hear me? Comb the desert! Found anything yet? We ain't found.
Battle the entire Spaceball army.
My hair! He shot my hair!
Holy! And escape the clutches of Dark Helmet.
I see your Schwartz is as big as mine.
Abandon ship! Proceed to escape pods! What the hell's the matter with this seat, fella?
When does this happen in the movie?
Give me bomb!
Spaceballs, the movie.
Yeah. I know you're not making faces at me under that thing.
And Mel Brooks, 1987, Spaceballs, opening on this date 39 years ago. I did not see it in the theater. Did you?
Seems like just yesterday.
Yes, it does, in a way.
No, I did not see it in the
It's
theater.
on TV all the time. So, well, I wouldn't say all the time, but enough. And, after that, I don't think he did another movie. Did he do another movie? I'm going to say no.
I don't know.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say, though, that John Candy in the movie, Rick Moranis, Bill Pullman, there is going to be a Spaceballs 2. I don't know if that has been released yet or what the timetable is. But here we are. Joel, you have another hour under your belt.
Hard to believe, Mark.
And?
One to go.
One to go. Are you ready?
Now what?
Let me ask you.
Oh, yes, I'm ready.
Okay,
Are you?
You're ready.
Well, that's the question. You do this every day.
I do. Let's talk about the loudest person in the world. Who do you? Is there a person that you think is the loudest?
Oh my goodness.
No.
Oh wow, the loudest.
The loudest.
Is there a contest for this?
It is a contest, and check out who the winner is.
Australian professional air-conditioned cleaner and honorary town crier, Joseph McGrail Beta.
My lords, my ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Canberra!
The 58-year-old resident recorded the loudest ever shout.
It took me 7 attempts just for one word, which was the word now.
Guinness World Records measured it at over 122 decibels. That's in the range of a jet aircraft taking off. The previous record set by a Northern Ireland schoolteacher in 1994 who yelled an ear-piercing quiet at around 121 decibels. CJ Papa, Fox News.
So, of course, I didn't know about that, so I might have had an opportunity to add to my resume. And let's talk about this in the waning moments of this particular program. According to canine psychologists, which is the smartest dog breed?
I'm going to go with Chihuahua.
No.
Think about the life they live. You want to tell me this is a stupid hound? Every second of its day, it's catered to by its owner.
Border Collie.
That makes sense. I've seen them at work,
yes.
Mark, and they are unbelievable.
Aren't they great? What is next, though? What you would not think this.
All right, let's go with Great Dane.
Close. Poodles.
Oh, that's not even close. Come on, Poodles and Great Danes
are next. Then German Shepherds.
All right.
Golden Retrievers and Doberman Pinschers. Those are the top, smartest dog breeds.
Where's the Chihuahua?
It's not in the top 5, and I'm not going to look. Coming up next hour, we have Patrick Ball with Life Path Ministries, the usual guest on our Wednesday. We also have Julie Wheeler, President Commissioner of York County, and, of course, Joel Sears wrapping up his Wednesday program, so we hope you stick around. Time for news, though. It's 8 a.m.
This is York's only local show on York's only local station. This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Listen to your show every day. It's really good. I have you guys on every morning to wake up to.
Gary Sutton, mornings 6 to 9 on Sports Radio 98.9 FM and 1350 WOYK.
All the things you're talking about are all things we're talking about. It's Main Street America every day. And you're getting your money's worth.
You're a brilliant mind, tremendous experience. You're great for the community.
The Gary Sutton Show on York's first station, WOYK.
They may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
But will they take the face paint? That's what I want to know. Would it be the same without the paint on his face?
It would not
in the movie. Yes. So, anyway, welcome and good morning. The Gary Sutton Show here at WOYK. And our guest host today is Joel Sears. Gary taking a few days off. We do have Jamie Norpel tomorrow. Then we have Jim Hanneslager on Friday. And then Jamie will be back next Monday. So, kind of always trying to change it up and keep you guessing and mixing and matching some of our best contributors, if you will. And Joel here to talk. He's talked about, for me, I'm sort of a policy guy too. At least I want to be, but I don't have the discipline to go into the facts and details. Like, for example, you and I yesterday, we talked about how I live in Lancaster County, and they just recently completed a reassessment. And, I thought, well, I guess my taxes are going to go up because the reassessment went way up. And you explained how that may not be the case. And you used a couple of really simple, for me, I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Simple example, and it was like, okay. Well, there's a lot of fear with the unknown, but you
didn't have to go dive off the bridge.
Yes, right.
To solve this one.
But I mean, you had those policy details that a lot of people don't have, and so it's interesting to give us perspective, and I really appreciate that. And you've really brought that to the show today.
Thank you. It's a curse.
Is that right? I could see where that is the case, because then everybody expects you to know all the details, and it doesn't always work out that way. Anyway, we've got less than an hour now to go. I want to get to a story about the oldest soccer ball. What do you think the oldest soccer ball that they have in a museum is? And I was kind of shocked. And of course, there's lots of talk about the World Cup and all that. The games are surprisingly, I find them interesting. Even a game, I know Gary will disagree, but yesterday, was it England and was it Panama? They were battling back and forth, and no score. That was 0-0 at the end. England had hit the crossbar with just a few minutes left, and it did not go in. And very exciting stuff, even when it's 0-0, so to speak. So.
Yeah, it's quite a dance. I'm going to say 4,312 years.
I don't think it's that old.
Oh, okay. Well.
But we're going to find out this hour. But right now, let's chat, as we always do on a Wednesday, with Patrick Ball of Life Path Ministries, and talk about two hats. Also, he's heading up the York State Fair. And do you know him at all, Joel?
I don't.
Well, then this is a good chance to get acquainted.
Good morning, Patrick.
Morning. How are you?
I'm just fine. How are you this morning?
Fantastic. Thank you.
Well, I want to start by just acknowledging the wonderful work that's done by Life Path Christian Ministries, something that I've seen tangentially for as long as I've been in York, and the history goes back a whole lot earlier than my arrival here. And then to watch the organization grow and thrive as it has is quite remarkable. And, looking at it from, say, I'm going to take a third-hand perspective from my wife, because she's a social worker, and understanding the tremendous amount of effort that it takes to change and help change the direction of just one person. It's a phenomenally difficult and labor-intensive pursuit, and one that's got to be grounded in love and faith. And so with that, I'd like to turn to a kind of a difficult situation, which is what happened at Vance Park in the last few weeks, and get your perspective on that, and how maybe a little bit about how those things develop and what organizations like yours can do to help mitigate these challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we were, with other organizations, we were around the table with the mayor's office since February, kind of talking about what does this look like, what's the right timing, those kind of things. And, unfortunately, there is no right timing, right? It's one of those, I think, it's human nature that, if you say, well, it's going to be 6 weeks or 6 months, people are still going to wait till the last 2 weeks to figure something out, right? Because, if you're comfortable and, you're not forced to change, you're not going to change. So I think overall, the initiative accomplished what the administration wanted to accomplish, which was clear out the park and restore it so that, it can be used for other means. We brought in, initially 21 folks. We still have people trickling in that, you really can't say, well, they came directly from Vance Park because, it's a couple weeks removed now.
Yes.
But we do see people who spend time there who are coming in. And so, we've been able to, again, bring them inside and work with them. And, it's a tough situation for people who don't want to come inside, right? And, there's a variety of reasons for that. And, there are other organizations in town who, work with folks who, live on the street.
Patrick, you said that there are many reasons and people choose to live outside. That seems to be the most difficult thing for those of us that stand on the periphery to understand. How is it that people, with housing, with food assistance and the like, still choose to live in those circumstances?
Yeah, it's that's the $1 million question, right? And I think part of it, obviously, there's a mental health component to it. There's also a component where people just have stuff, right? They have belongings, and we require people to sort of narrow it down to a 30-gallon tote. So imagine everything you own fits in a 30-gallon tote, and that draw is pretty strong for people. There's obviously substance use. With addiction is a very powerful force. And, if you'd rather satisfy your addiction than come inside, that's, again, another powerful force that it's tough to break away from. So just all of these things, and even pets, right? Some people will have pets. Now, we have a great working relationship with the SPCA where folks who live outside can house with us, and their pets will house at the SPCA, and when they move out and into housing, their pets come with them, right? And they're able to visit the pet and things like that. So we've tried to remove as many of these barriers as possible, but you still see, again, these intense draws. And there are some people, again, who just aren't comfortable or don't want to stay for a variety of reasons, whether it's trauma from the past or others that have just can't live in a congregate setting, right?
Well,
and so.
And again, looking at it from an outsider's perspective, you mentioned something, living in a congregate setting. I think that would be difficult for most people to transition from a single family or from a condo or something like that into a barracks, essentially.
Absolutely.
And, that's not the sort of thing that most of us look forward to. But related question is the facilities that are available relative to, let's say, the demand or the problems, the scope of the problem, how does that match up?
So right now we still have some beds open, primarily in our what we call our transient section, which is not part of our program, but people can come in, for overnight and access services that way. But our program beds, people are constantly moving out, right? They're moving in, they're moving out. Part of that population obviously is very transient, and so beds come available pretty quickly. Sometimes with the weather if the weather's colder, things like that, it takes a little bit longer. But when as an example, and I've talked about this on the show before, we've placed 1,124 people in affordable housing in 2025. So that was
before you go on. Does that mean that they're permanently settled, Patrick?
Correct. Right.
In housing that you and I might say, yeah, that's acceptable. A couple bedrooms, a bathroom, full kitchen.
Yeah.
So truly housed.
Correct.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and so again, you look at that and you say, well, you average that out over the course of the year, right? That's more than 30 people a month, right? And so that turnover is there to create those open beds. And so we've got the capacity. We haven't, I don't want to say we've got excess capacity, but we're also, sort of at a good balance right now, given the warmer weather, things like that. Now, when it comes to the winter time, we go into Code Blue, we set up an additional 70 cots for people to be able to come in and just be housed. So we've got those mechanisms to be able to expand, but there's obviously significant cost that goes along with that. So we have to be good stewards of the funds that we receive.
Well, let me go out on another limb here. When you talk about permanently housing people, there's the mental component, obviously. Let's say the desire to want to be independent.
Mm-hmm.
The second is the financial piece of it, to try to find available housing. Is there anything that could be done policy-wise for example, for these tiny houses or neighborhoods or of that sort where housing, let's say, under $100,000 could be feasibly constructed and used as the permanent landing place for some of these folks?
Yeah, I think as you look at sort of the solutions, there's probably 30 or 40 solutions, right? And what we need all 30 or 40. Mm-hmm. And so being able to say, well, here's a silver bullet, right? We can kind of solve everything, just doesn't work that way. And so we've got a program that we call Rent to Success. And we run it with Community Progress Council. And basically they have a curriculum. And we put together a cohort of guests. We run our guests through these programs. And then we go to landlords and we say, hey, they've been taught how to be a great tenant, right? And we promise to continue to follow up with them because we have case managers. CPC has job and life coaches. And so they're able to help people and support them, make sure they're paying their bills, make sure that they're paying their rent, make sure they're not destroying the place. And then, many landlords will go month to month for 6 months, and after you prove yourself, then they'll give you a longer-term lease. And so that's just one route. We've had about 25 or 30 people go through that program since we implemented it about a year and a half ago, and they've been wildly successful, right? Because we've given them the tools and the knowledge of how to be a great tenant, but then we've also been able to build relationships with private landlords and say, hey, here's an opportunity for a pipeline if you're willing to give these folks a chance. And so, again, it doesn't solve the problem for everyone, but it's just one more arrow in the quiver, if you will.
Yeah, what I come away with here, Patrick, is hope, that there really is hope.
Yes, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
with that, I guess it's time for me to do the rude thing and say, well, gee, it's time for the news. Not a very smooth transition, obviously. Gary would find some way to land this on the mattress, and I'm just going to come in with the guillotine. So anyway, I really appreciate the conversation this morning, Patrick. And I learned a lot. Thank you.
Appreciate the time. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Me too. I learned quite a bit as well. And you're right. It does seem like, why wouldn't people want to come in off the street? And not everybody's in the same place. And, drug addiction, mental illness, there's so many varied reasons. And that's one of the reasons why it's a hard thing to solve. So, because not everybody wants to what you want. They don't want to necessarily have the American dream. Their dream is, being on the road and maybe having a meal, but not much more than that. Anyway, what did you learn?
Well, I think I tried to sum it up in the four-letter word hope. What it sounds like is that they are succeeding, Mark.
Yeah.
This isn't just bang your head against the wall and repeat every day. Mm-hmm. When Patrick talks about the transition and the numbers, they're actually very impressive. To think that you can do 25 or 30 placements a month
It's a lot.
The sad side is that there's that much demand, but the hope is that it can be satisfied with enough of a broad view by the community, and all the way from the practical things like, finding the space, the rental space, and the landlords that are willing to take a chance, as long as they can have support from a group like Life Path Christian Ministries to, help shepherd these folks.
So I'm going to change gears. Let's talk a little bit about sports. It is a sports station, WOYK. And last night, the Orioles lost. The Phillies were behind 5-0. I think the margin was even a little bigger than that. And then in the top of the ninth, they scored 8 runs with 2 outs. And the Nationals came back with 1 run in the bottom of the ninth. But a shocker. Phillies bats just roared to life, and they won. So what happened to the Revolution? We're going to find out next as Joel Sears continues his guest hosting of the Gary Sutton Show this morning on WOYK.
And now loaded for Blackwell. And he swings and pokes one back up the middle. Ray scores. Here comes Teeter. De La Cruz throws to third late there. 4-0 the lead. And Ben Blackwell doing it against his former team. And the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. High fastball from Rhett Koba. He strikes out the side for the second time tonight and has a career high 11 strikeouts in the game. Brian Ray, 3 for 3 with a walk, an RBI, 2 runs. He's got a steal. And he swings and shoots one back up the middle, base hit. Tomo around third. He'll score without a throw. Brian Ray, 4 for 4 tonight. And on base for the 5th time. It's another RBI single, and it's 8-3 here in the 8th. Pitch, swing and a fly ball, hit well, straightaway center. De La Cruz is back. It's over his head. It's off the base of the wall. Ray scores, Teeter in behind him. Ross at second with a 2-run double. And it is 10-3 here in the 8th. As the Revs have reached double digits tonight. Pitch. He swings and lines one to center. There's a base hit. And Brown around third. He is coming in 11-4. And for the second consecutive game, every Revs starter has a hit.
It's crazy. And again, Kuba striking out a career high 11. The team with relievers and stuff with 15 strikeouts. Amazing. Revs now 30-25 on the season. The two teams play again tonight. Airtime begins here with the pregame at 6:15, and I believe first pitch is at 6:30. You are listening to the Gary Sutton Show. Joel Sears guest hosting this morning.
The Gary Sutton Show, the Main Street of York, is brought to you by our presenting sponsors, kindnessworldwide.org. What are you going to do to bring more kindness into your sphere of influence today? Check them out at kindnessworldwide.org. And Anstein and Sparler, attorneys at law, 117 East Market Street in York. You can give them a call today at 717-846-8811. Their primary area of focus since 1937 has been estate planning, estate administration, family law, and municipal law and military law. And they're ready to help you. They're open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5. Anstein and Sparler, attorneys at law, and Kindness Worldwide, proud sponsors of the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
So if you've seen the World Cup, you know that the soccer ball looks a little bit different than it used to, right?
Quite different, yes.
Yeah, it used to be the black and what were they? Were they pentagons?
I think it was a set of different geometric shapes.
Yes.
It might not have all been the same.
And I'm trying to remember myself, but it was black and white.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now it's it's a multicolor thing, and it's no longer those geometric shapes. It's kind of fluid. It's but it is segmented properly, but in a little bit different way.
Very creative.
Yes, and more colorful too. But that got this reporter to think about what is, I don't know if it is the oldest soccer ball, but it is a very old soccer ball. And check out this.
Scotland hopes to make soccer history, so perhaps bringing some with them will help them do it. The Scots face Brazil in Miami with the world's oldest soccer ball in attendance. A good result for the Tartan Army would see them get past the group stage of the World Cup for the first time ever. The ball was found in Scotland's Stirling Castle in the 1970s, behind wood panelling in what was once the Scottish Queen's bedchamber. It's been scientifically dated to the mid-1500s. Stitched leather with a pig's bladder interior, the ball's on loan this week at Florida's Coral Gables Museum. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
Was that a sport you ever played, Joel?
I did not play it. I was asked to volunteer as a referee for my son, one of my son's games way back when. He was probably 7 or 8 years old, maybe even younger. And I made a mistake. I didn't know the definition of out of bounds. In the other sports that I was familiar with, if the ball even came close to the boundary, it was out. But not soccer.
Right.
Got to be all the way out.
Yeah.
Well, I made the mistake, called it out of bounds. And the coach ran over to me screaming.
Oh, no.
You know, thought I committed the cardinal sin of soccer. And I reminded him that I was a volunteer, and I said, I quit.
There you go.
That was that.
And did he, apologize?
No.
Oh, it was very hot.
No. This guy was...
So who rest of the game?
Nobody.
Oh, no.
At least not that sideline. He had some
I
other
see.
volunteers around the perimeter of the pitch, as we call it.
Yeah, I was not a runner. I did try out for soccer, but I did not make it, and I wasn't surprised. Coming up in the last half hour here of the Joel Sears guest host Gary Sutton Show edition, we have another movie that probably one of the all-time money earners. Was released on this date in 1994. That's a little bit of a hint. We'll delve into the trailer for that. And also, the president commissioner of York County, Julie Wheeler. And who better to chat with her than Joel?
Could be Gary.
Policy guy. Well, I mean, in this particular case, Gary talks to her all the time. And now we want to hear those nugget questions that, she might be afraid to answer. I don't know. I don't know what the...
Julie's not afraid to answer questions.
Excellent. So that's what I want to hear. I want to hear is there something in particular that you're looking to talk about?
Yeah, I'd like to talk to her about data center development.
Excellent.
We have this whole new frontier in front of us that, depending on how it's done, can generate tremendous revenue without a whole lot of additional obligations on the part of the jurisdiction. On the other hand, the challenges relative to the grid and the water supply and those kinds of things are very real.
No doubt about it.
As well as land management. So I'm kind of curious to know where we are as a county.
And before we get out of here today, there is a new country has the biggest supercomputer. And we will delve into that all before we call it a day. Stick around. Let's get another news update. It is the Gary Sutton Show with guest host Joel Sears on WOYK. Bumper music from 1989. You know, there's lots of Madonna. There are a few other groups, lots of hits. This guy, this is the only hit he ever had.
That's the way it has to be, 'cause that's the way I like it.
I can see why.
And that's pretty much the song right there.
It has to be, 'cause that's the way I like it.
But you've done him a favor by playing.
I have. He got a little bit extra money.
I really wonder. I mean, what is it? A tenth of a tenth of a tenth of a cent?
I don't know. His name is Dino.
Mm-hmm.
The song is "I Like It," and that was his claim to fame. I don't know what he's doing now, but anyway, welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show. And Joel Sears is here, not as a guest, but as a guest host and a longtime friend of the show, and an opportunity to talk data centers with who better than our President Commissioner of York County, Julie Wheeler.
Good morning, Julie.
Good morning, Joel. How are you?
I'm doing really well. How about you?
Good. I'm having a little trouble hearing you, but
Oh. Well, how about, is that
a little bit better.
Okay, good. I know you have a lot on your plate all the time, every day. And one of the latest and greatest, I guess, boulders to come rolling into the county, or at least to the thought process, is these data centers. And I look at it, I guess, from the perspective of somebody who doesn't have to live with the decision making, and, you know, could maybe look at some of the more positive aspects of data centers, in the sense that they're large, they're contributors to the tax base, presumably. They don't bring a lot of stress, especially to the school districts, because it's typically not going to be something that leaves a lot of full-time employees behind, but generates tremendous revenue. The flip side, obviously, is land usage, water consumption, where it fits in the grid, and the like. And I think you have just recently completed a pretty comprehensive white paper on York County's approach to data center development. Could you give us a little bit of a 30,000-foot overview of that?
Sure. The county's done several things in conjunction with our partners at the Planning Commission, also the Farm Bureau, York County Economic Alliance. I think that, you know, I've been a big proponent of making sure we're working collaboratively with community stakeholders, especially on these large issues that impact a lot of us here in the community and a lot of different demographics. So we published a white paper. We've shared that with municipalities. It's like soup to nuts for municipalities. We have a section in there that we call frequently asked questions that, you know, municipalities who are looking and evaluating whether or not data centers make sense for them. Lots of questions that they should be asking potential developers. We also talk about, you know, ag land preservation. That's certainly something that's been important to our community. If you recall, last year we hit a milestone mark in preserving 50,000 acres of farmland in our community. But the other thing we've done, in addition to the white paper, is we also produced a sample ordinance that we've shared with the local municipalities. As you know, I know you're well versed in local government, but this decision on zoning and ordinances lies at the local level, the local municipality. So, you know, from a county lens, we are doing what we can to provide as many tools to better educate and prepare our local municipalities when they have to make those decisions. The other thing that we did a couple months ago, we hosted a symposium for our municipal leaders, and we invited, you know, PJM was there. We had someone from the Farm Bureau, a really diverse group of individuals who all have a stake in data centers. So it's really about providing thoughtful and purposeful information to our municipalities.
Julie, are there examples in the state right now of either data centers under construction or already in operation that we can look at?
So I'm not an expert in where every single data center is going in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I know Lancaster is entertaining 2 data centers in Lancaster County. There certainly have been discussions here in York County, but nothing has been formalized and official for any that are going here in our community. I did take a trip down to Loudoun County to visit a data center. I thought it was really important as a leader to get myself educated in a topic. So I did go visit the one down in Loudoun County.
Interesting you mentioned that one. I think it popped up in the news recently because their approach is so different from the other counties that are adjacent to Loudoun County. And obviously that would lead to some concern on the part of the taxpayers that Loudoun County apparently has the ability to make these things coexist in a very responsible way. That's how I read it. Could be wrong. But that means they get the lion's share of the revenue. Whereas the others that might be taking a little bit more hands-off approach are going to potentially forego that opportunity.
Yeah, I think one of the the tax structure is certainly different in Virginia than it is here in Pennsylvania. In Loudoun County, they are able to tax the value of the contents inside of the property. So that's not something where the county or the local municipalities right now have the ability to do. So that is one big difference between what they're doing there and what potentially we'd be doing here in our communities.
Wouldn't we still have a significant addition to the tax base?
Sure, absolutely. Yep.
One of the other things that tickled my fancy came as a result of the Rusk report way back in '96, and that's that forbidden R word, regionalization. Thinking about York County alone with our, 72 municipalities or whatever it is, it's a significant number of decision makers that would have to be involved in the permitting and so forth of a data center. And some of us, and I'll just get a little, personal on this one, Spring Garden Township really doesn't have any place to house a data center. When you talk about 50,000 acres of preserved farmland, I think I read that Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful or whatever his name is involved in something, I believe in Utah, but it's somewhere in the Mountain West, that's a 40,000 acre data center. 40,000 acres. It's almost beyond comprehension. Now, if we tried to bring that into perspective in York County, where would we even find a contiguous 5,000 or 6,000 acre plot for a data center?
Well, I think we also have to keep in mind there are different types of data centers, right? So, the one that you're talking about is a mammoth, huge data center, right? There are all different types of data centers out there. So I don't know where we would find one for 50,000 acres here in our community.
No, not 50, maybe even 5. But even bringing it down, say, to a warehouse of 300,000 or 400,000 square feet. We have one sitting empty in Spring Garden Township right now. And that might be sufficient for, say, a localized data center that might serve local industry. Just making this up off the cuff. The issue is wherever these things land, whatever revenues are generated, stay within that municipality. And the Rusk report, and I think rightfully talked about at least considering some kind of regional development for regional revenue sharing so that you can optimize the placement of whatever these industrial things are, whether it's a shopping center, a big factory, a data center, a warehouse, you name it, so that there's not this jealous guarding of township properties and a willingness to work among 5 or 6 contiguous townships to share the revenue.
Sure. I think the other thing, to keep in mind as we do in our community here, I can speak for York County, not so much the surrounding counties, but, we do have a comprehensive plan that we work with the Planning Commission on. We have our Economic Action Plan. And in those plans, in particular the comprehensive plan, there are areas in our community that we clearly state we want to preserve the land because it's rich in agriculture, especially our Class 1 and Class 2 soil. So, you probably remember last year, when this has been going on for many years, the hydro dam that wants to go over in there at Cuffs Run, right? Well,
yes.
That's an area that we said in our comprehensive plan we're going to preserve because of the soils that are there. But there are other areas in our community that we said we want to develop. So there's a lot of moving parts that have to, work together here. I think municipalities just have to be thoughtful and purposeful, and I trust that they will do that and they will make the right decisions for their respective communities.
Well, that's our form of government, Julie.
Yep, that is our form of government.
We treasure
Correct.
local control, and sometimes I think we need to at least consider an alternative. And I'm not saying flip it completely, but consider an alternative so that there isn't this guarded approach to the boundaries that we've created artificially for each of these municipalities. We have a lot of common interests in mind.
Well, I think when you talk about regionalization, we know we have a need in particular for volunteer firefighters in our community, mm-hmm. right? And you've seen where fire departments in our community have started to regionalize, right? Because you can gain lots of economies of scale. So it's the same concept, and we've seen it with our regional police departments. Right, there is value in taking a regionalized approach.
We've seen that with I think you mentioned the fire department. That's the United Fire and Rescue operation, which I think now is 3 townships. And it took something like 100 years for these 2 professional fire departments to come to an agreement. And, I saw something that was miraculous when the Spring Garden Township merged into York County Regional, that it took less than 2 years for that to happen.
Yep.
So it can happen.
Yep, it can. It requires effort. Not an easy thing to do, but
No,
I think that we've seen benefits of that regionalization model.
Well, what else do you have on your plate?
Well, a couple exciting things. On Monday, we did an official dedication of one of 7 fiberglass bells that will be placed throughout York County in commemoration of America's 250th. The one we dedicated on Monday is located right on the Heritage Rail Trail down by the Northern Central Railway. Local artist Ophelia Chambliss designed that. So we'll be doing one a month through October and then 2 in November. We are spreading out the events tied to the 250th. And one of the things that was really important to us at a county level is that we get engagement from our local municipalities, much like we did with the county's 275th. Certainly we've got lots of activities going on July 4th. We have a lot of events going on in the downtown area, but another thing, again, that we've been doing is working with our municipalities. So there's lots of local events going on across York County, and I would share with the listeners today that the best place to look for all activities occurring on July 4th is go to www.york365.com, and it has all kinds of events listed that are going on, not just July 4th, but throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah, it's quite an amazing list of events.
Yes, lots going on. I give a lot of credit to our History Made Here committee, which has been working for over a year to ensure that there's lots of things for folks to do, and many of those events are free.
Well, that's what we like to hear in York County, and if they include food, count me in.
Yeah, there's always
we know
food,
how that works.
Of course, Joel.
Julie, I look forward to listening to you and Gary every week, and it's been a real pleasure to talk with you this morning.
All right.
So
well, thanks, Joel. Have a great
good rest
day.
of the week.
Okay.
Very informative. While you were talking with Julie about data centers, I happened to see a story about Mr. Wonderful. The guy on Shark Tank. Yeah, Kevin O'Leary. He wants to build a 20,000-acre data center.
Yeah, that's down from the original 40, Mark.
Is it really?
It was just beyond comprehension.
It is. What kind of power
20,000
requirements?
acre?
Yes. I mean, the electricity and everything that would be considered for that, because I guess they got to keep these things cold too.
They do indeed.
Yeah.
They're moving towards self-sufficiency, if that's possible. Where
Really?
they can do power generation and the water recovery and recycling so that it doesn't end up being a net drain on the environment. It's tremendously challenging, but the money, the kind of money that's involved, both in construction and the potential revenue, make people think, yeah, we can get creative and make this work.
So coming up here, we have in our final moments of the program today, who has got the biggest supercomputer on Earth. We'll learn about that. We will also learn about a movie, probably one of the, I'm gonna guess one of the top 10 money earners movies of all time, and it opened on this date in 1994. Well, at least there's, I think, has there been 2 of them? Maybe 3. So we'll delve into that in just a second as well.
Coming up this afternoon at 4 p.m. at Thomasville Country Auction, they have a big sale, an outstanding coin auction, 190 lots of coins. Coin pictures will be added. Proof sets, currency, foreign coins, you name it, they have it all going on out there, plus Longaberger baskets and tools. And you can check out ThomasvilleCountryAuction.com right now. Go to auction dates. Today is the 24th, and you will see every item up for bid this afternoon. I don't care if you're moving, you're downsizing, you have an estate to settle. Thomasville Country Auction is ready to help you right now with Jack and Cheryl Hooks. Give them a call today at 717-764-5403. Have them come out to your home, answer all your questions about auctions. what is a myth, what's to be expected, what's not to be expected. They will help to answer all those questions in good York County ease. And if you're looking to sell real estate, Cheryl can do that for you and save you lots of money. Jack and Cheryl Hooks are the masters of auctions here in York County. They've been doing it for over 40 years. They can do it for you. Check them out this afternoon, 4 p.m. Thomasville Country Auction, Route 30 West at the railroad tracks in Thomasville.
It's the circle of life.
You know, I can remember I don't remember what I went to see, but I remember this trailer for the movie. And I thought,
Walt Disney Pictures presents its all-new 30-second full-length animated motion picture.
It was, and I thought it was still a cartoon. This was back when CGI was just a beginning in 1994, 32 years ago today. The Lion King released. Ever see it?
Yeah, the animation's beautiful.
It is.
And I love the African harmonies in the music.
Now, and then they turned it into a Broadway show.
Amazing. Live animals.
I looked up the let's see. So the franchise summary, because there have been 5. There was the animated original, the one we're talking about now. Then there was a 2019 CGI remake. There was Mufasa, The Lion King. The Lion King 1.5 in 2004. There was Lion King 2, Simba's
Sounds
Pride.
like an iPhone.
Oh, my Lord. So the top earner was the 2019 CGI remake. That made $1.66 billion worldwide. Second place was the original, $988 million. Mufasa had $723 million. I mean, obviously, we're talking billions of dollars.
Serious
here.
money, Mark.
It was. And I remember seeing bits and pieces. I've probably seen the whole thing in multiple views, but not the...
not all in one sitting.
No, not all in one sitting. So I promoted this a couple of times, so let's get to it. Who has the biggest supercomputer these days? The verdict is in.
China is now home to the world's fastest supercomputer. The machine known as Lanshan has taken the top spot on the latest global rankings, displacing U.S. machines for the first time since 2017. The Lanshan was built using Chinese-designed chips, and scientists say that computer can perform more than 2 quintillion calculations per second. U.S. computer El Capitan in California now ranks second, ahead of 2 other U.S. supercomputers in Tennessee and Illinois. The U.S. and China are increasingly competing in advanced computing. President Trump signed an executive order this week that aims to put the U.S. ahead of China in the emerging field of quantum computing. Angelo Bavaro, Fox News.
What did it say? 2 quintillion
Yes,
per second.
It's amazing. That's double in just about 5 years what was capable with the first time we went past the quintillion calculations per second. And that was a computer known as Frontier, which is at Oak Ridge National Laboratory in Tennessee, near Knoxville.
I'm trying to figure out, every little thing that we do that is tracked on your phone and your computers is being stored somewhere. And that's what these data centers are about. They're going to be able to build, models of you. But to what end, though? I'm not quite sure. What is their manipulation and filtering of all these little data points by billions of people? What is that going to get them? Do you have any idea?
It's primarily for inference, Mark. It's not to be able to fingerprint Mark McKenzie or Gary Sutton or Joel Sears, although that can be done.
Right.
It's an attempt to try to infer beyond that, to project beyond that, to make predictions.
I see.
And it can get to the point that it seems human because it's able to crunch so many connections between these data points. And I mean, just as an example, they might infer that human beings have 2 eyes because they can look at literally billions of images of human beings that have already been classified as things with 2 eyes, not to be confused with dogs.
Right. Well, but they don't have any data points because they don't have any phones.
But they have data points because they're being tracked.
How are they being tracked?
Well,
on the little microchips? Or?
No. Have you ever? Well, that too. But have you ever been to a bank? Have you ever used an ATM machine?
Yes.
Do you know people that have ring doorbells?
Yes.
With cameras?
So that
all of these things are being surveilled without knowledge, whether it's a sentient being like us or something like the nearest earthworm. It's all part of the landscape.
All right. Well, I'm done thinking for today. That's going to do it for the Gary Sutton Show. Joel, what did you think? You haven't subbed for Gary in about 15 years.
It's been a while, and it was a fast 3 hours, Mark.
It was, and now you can go home and seek counseling. It is Swim-A-Lap Day, the Food Holidays, National Parchment Cooking Day. I use parchment paper, and National Pralines Day, so not really something that's too exciting. And how about one more fact before we get out of here? Did you know that the singer Sting doesn't actually own the rights to the name Sting? Do you know who does?
How can that be?
Well, this is how it worked out. The registered owner with the U.S. Patent Office is actually a pro wrestler whose name is Sting. But check this out. He lets the other Sting use the name too.
Well, that's mighty nice of him.
That's what I thought. So what's happening on Thursday's show? A lot of the usual guests, but the twist is going to be that we have another guest host, and it's Jamie Norpel. So join me and Jamie tomorrow. And don't forget, the Revolution playing Charleston tonight, airtime at 6:30. Good morning, everyone. It's 9 o'clock.